Hi, Tara. How are you?
I'm very good, John. And yourself?
Not too bad at all, at all, at all. Lovely day here. You in Dublin, eh?
No, I'm actually at home in Kerry. I'm actually sitting in the car right now because I'm just using my mobile hotspot with 4G. So, yeah,
Whereabouts in Kerry are you?
I'm Killarney.
All right, yeah. That's the family down in Lauragh,
Oh, yeah.
down in Glenmore.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good
Very
stuff
good.
indeed.
Listen,
So
John.
what's going on?
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a background script, just to let you, just to explain a bit more about what this interview is and what it's about, and then I'll just
Yeah,
jump right into it because I know the time is valuable at the moment. But anyway, just to provide the background information. So for data, this interview is being recorded for data collection purposes. The information that you provide throughout this interview will be stored internally and not made publicly available. The information and data gathered from this interview will be used for the development of the jumpAgrade platform. And the
yeah,
purpose of the interview is for me to gain a greater understanding of you as a primary user of the jumpAgrade platform. This
okay,
interview should take no longer than 35 to 40 minutes and will
perfect.
consist of questions relating to you as a person, you as a teacher, your relationship with technology, your use of the platform, your objectives, and your pain points. I do have a script of questions to ask, however, these are not strict and are more of a guideline for me. I may divert from the script if I think
Yeah,
something is worth exploring a bit more in detail. And at times throughout the interview, I might take some notes, but uh, it is being recorded. So my main objective here is to just ask you some questions and listen as much as possible to your answers.
cool.
Um, Even though it's an interview, it's completely informal. It's more like just a conversation. So try not to overthink your answers too much. What is important for me, however, is that you try to avoid answering questions in a rose-tinted manner. Just be as honest as possible with about it,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know.
Fair enough.
And finally, if there's anything you're not comfortable answering or talking about, we can just move on to another question or topic. That's fine.
That's grand. Not a butter. Not a butter at all.
Okay, so simply first, the first section of questions is the background and ethnography. So, what is your full name and your current occupation?
John Patrick Sullivan. I am at the moment a teacher running my own language school.
Okay, and do you work full time or part time?
7 days a week.
Full time, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in? How long have you been in this job?
I've been running this since 2011. No, actually, I was teaching grinds before that when I was in my previous job in the financial markets.
Okay, and were you ever in the education sector anyway as a teacher?
No, I know I've covered when people ask me favors. I've covered in Mount Sackville and I've covered in Presbray when people ask me favors to cover, but I'm not on the teaching council.
Okay, fair enough. And what were your original qualifications and where did you get them?
Okay, right. I've always had an interest in languages, and when I worked in the financial markets, I was basically the European relationship manager. So I speak 13 languages. I traveled around Europe, building up relationships with banks, with brokers, what have you, as well as operating in Dublin and dealing on behalf of banks in Dublin with banks in other parts of the world. So I traveled around Europe. I was at board meetings, but I never spoke English. So I built up that over the course of a 30-year period to the point of fluency in probably around 9 or 10 languages and pretty good at the other 3 or 4. So the background is basically that in my job, and I started to use those languages more and more and more. And over the following 10-year period, I never really spoke English most during the day. So when the thing collapsed after the overall crash back in 2008, 2009, when Anglo went down and what have you, our broking operation closed down in Dublin. So rather than going go back into it again, I thought it was a chance to change tack. And the grinds I'd been giving at night, just to see how it would go for the previous 2 or 3 years, I made it into a full-time occupation. So I'm teaching from home in my own classroom here, as you can see, my whiteboard and all that. So the kids come to me. They would be leaving cert, junior cert, they would be third level, they would be adults as well. So I would teach French, Irish, Spanish, German, Italian, Portuguese, as well as English literature for leaving cert and junior cert. So I would teach the English course as well. So I teach everything that's not sciences and maths, basically.
Okay, and I suppose when you first started doing grinds, obviously it was traditional grinds at the start. did you kind of
Yeah.
find it difficult to adapt your own abilities in these languages to teach it for the exam course itself? You know, for the way that it's taught in
I
school.
was, well, I don't teach the way it's taught in school, because specifically don't teach the way it's taught in school, which is why I'm teaching 7 days a week, because the way they teach in school is shite. So basically, no. Well, I was disabused very quickly. After the first 2 hours, I realized I got the standard pretty quickly. So no, it was fine. I mean, I know the curriculum's inside out. I know the courses inside out. The third level course of what exams are going to sit in Trinity or whatever. I know those inside out as well. And I would go over specifically when I have the kids here. Obviously, I'm teaching on Skype now, which I don't like because I can't do the stuff I can do here. But no, what I find is that it's much better. You've got the kids on I'd have maybe 3 or 4 kids, absolute max, often one-to-one. In fact, most of the time one-to-one, probably 50% one-to-one, about 30% two, and the rest could be more, but it wouldn't never be any more than 4. I would systematically go through the grammar so they understand exactly what they're doing and why something is the case. So, for example, I'm teaching Irish. I was born up in the UK. I taught myself Irish. I teach at the 3rd level. So if a word like, say, for example, if I see buskolia and it's got an E on the end, they'll know why it's got an E on the end. That sort of thing. So systematically go through that. Systematically go through how you handle comprehensions and how you think your way through them. What's your thought process systematically? What's your next thought in every single step you do? That nothing you write is by chance. That you know when you put pen to paper why you're doing it. And I would go through the speaking as well. Maybe 20 odd minutes of the hour could be speaking, where you're getting the kids, you're throwing stuff fast at them to get a quick reaction. So the idea of idea to word is very quick and very fluent. And then going over what you're going to have to look at in the exam and what have you. So it's really a confidence booster. They understand what they're doing clearly, because in school often it's just it's like picking, trying to eat jelly with chopsticks kind of way half the time, So they know exactly what they're doing. It boosts confidence and it helps them a hell of a lot. And it works very, very well. And I enjoy doing it. The kids love coming. You build a great relationship with the kids and the parents and whatever. So it's really good, yeah. So that's the way it's worked for me. And it's been continuously very, very busy. During the 7 days a week, my timetable would be, I'd have 80 or 90 kids. Some have 120 kids in a week. It's kind of nuts. Because you teach languages and everything, French, Spanish, German, whatever. But the adults would come in the morning. People who bought a house in France or something need to speak French to talk to the neighbors. They come in the morning, and then around 4 o'clock, I start with the students. And that's the way it works. I also teach people doing Hibernian, things like that, trying to get in there to work as in Merrimack and Limerick and people like that. So I would teach those as well. So that's basically what I do every day, 7 days a week, pretty much.
Great. That actually pretty much covers my next question, which would be if you could describe what your typical weekday actually looks like. Is there anything you might be able to add to that?
Yeah, we'll just run through a typical day when there's no COVID about, a normal general run-of-the-mill day, a Tuesday, say in April. Get up, whatever. I might have somebody in at 10 o'clock, usually an adult. I could have somebody in at 1 o'clock. And then I would have nobody until about 4:30, which gives out of 4:30 to 5:30, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, and 9 to 10. Pretty much. Now, they might be 100% full. Some of those be single, some will have 2 people, some might have 3, but it'll be that sort of thing. And I could have leaving cert Irish, junior cert French, leaving cert Spanish, leaving cert Italian. And I might have somebody wants to go over Shakespeare, wants to go over King Lear or whatever it would be. Because I was an actor years ago in London. I was a Shakespearean actress. So that's the sort of thing. It would be, now the weekend, I try to keep the afternoons free, certainly Sunday afternoon. But other than that, it's pretty much Sunday morning till about 1 o'clock. And then I'm free for Sunday afternoons. But other than that, that's it. Now, during the summer, it's going to be an awful lot. There'll be less people. From this time on, when the exams start, obviously the juniors and leaving certs fall away. Then you've got the adults, and you'd have the university repeats, people who failed and want to have to retake them. So I'd have a lot of those during the course of July and August. Once they get the results, they know they've got to retake it. People come in and do those. So I do a lot of 3rd level stuff. But there'll be the 3rd level stuff during the day as well. That's got busier actually over the last year or 2.
Okay, fair enough. No, that sounds quite busy for you and hectic week in, week out. But and I suppose then do you have any hobbies or interests? And just a follow-up question to that, when you do have some spare free time, what do you like to do in your spare time, I guess?
Going long walks, really. I mean, I'm living in Shankill, the sea's 100 meters over there, and just go walking around there's loads of green space. I know take like a 6 or 7 kilometer walk this morning or whatever, and that's quite good. When the weather's like this, it's great. A lot of the time I'd read. I read quite a lot. I might watch stuff from other countries. I mean, I watch like a documentary from Italy, or I might watch something in Irish, or I might watch something, whatever's interesting. Listen to music, sit in the garden, whatever. Because I work from home, I don't have to travel anywhere. So I have a lot more, that's spare time got as well, also less expense. So yeah, I mean, I get up, nobody get up around 9 o'clock. So I don't have any of the pressures of work, of traveling. So that gives me more time as well. But no, I like to walk. I love to travel as well when I get a chance. I like to go to the theatre. I like sort of arty kind of stuff. So that's the sort of, go to the theatre a lot if I can. Obviously in the evening I can't really, because you can't cancel all your plans. It'd be a very expensive night out. But no, other than that, I love to go to restaurants. I love food as well. So food, long walks, music, documentaries, politics to a degree, that sort of general stuff.
Okay, great. Okay, so John, that's the end of the first section of questions, which is just background and ethnography. The next section, there's only a couple of questions in. It's just general technology. So simply, are you comfortable with technology?
Yeah, more comfortable than I was. I mean, I'd never really used Skype. I'm obviously using it now. I never really. It's only my second ever conversation on Zoom, because I always use Skype. So yeah, I'm comfortable enough with it. I know how it works because I have to. So that's fine. I don't have any problems. Nothing really I can't do.
Okay. And what is your overall relationship like with technology? And what I kind of mean by that is, what sort of tools do you use on a daily basis in your both in your job and in your spare time? Just what sort of tools are you using? Hello? Hello?
Dara got you back. What the hell? I don't know. Gremlins. That's what I'm talking about. That sort of shit happens all the time. You sort of like, I don't know, I'm Virgin here. I had big problems here for 2 or 3 weeks. That was going down in Skype. And the problem wasn't my technology, was the problem was their systems are going down a bit. No, it's I would use Google Drive a lot. Obviously with this, I'm using it all the time. And I would use it. I'm doing Skype lessons with somebody in Kiev in Russian, because I'm improving my Russian, which I've got directly after this. And I would use Google Drive on that an awful lot with the teacher in Kiev. But no, so it would be a lot of YouTube, Google Drive, Skype, Zoom when I have to, really run of the WhatsApp a lot. Do run of the mill social media, really, Twitter quite a bit.
Yes. Fair enough. And could you kind of think what your favorite websites and apps would be that you kind of use on a daily basis? What are your, what ones do you like to use the most? What do you feel you gravitate the most to?
YouTube, Twitter, WhatsApp. I mean, the usual ones, the ones that everybody does, really. I'm not an Instagram person, though I have an account. I never really use it. I would tend to go to a lot of newspapers in other countries like El País, El Le Monde, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, stuff like that. I'd read stuff in Irish as well, on Tourisk or Nos. That sort of thing. I use YouTube a lot for languages. I would use examinations.ie a lot for raw material for the lessons. I would also use stuff from other countries. So, for example, I would use past papers from A levels, past papers from the back in France, past papers from Literature in Italy, past papers from Hungary, past papers from Poland. So if I'm teaching somebody Spanish, right, I will use a lot. I will go into, say, Hungarian, the Hungarian Leaving Cert, when they sit in Budapest, go down to Spanish and put their stuff in front of the kids. So I'll test them. It's a lot more difficult than the Leaving Cert. And if it's good students, I'll push them on that. Same with A levels. So, you know, if you get a student who thinks he's the dog's bollocks at everything and he's going to be a doctor, you just throw the Hungarian exam in front of him and say, how much of a doctor are you now, pal? You know, it just wakes them up. It kind of like, it's that sort of stuff. But that's my attitude, and it works really well because they get a sense of what's going on out there, and they get a sense of the nonsense they're being taught a lot of the time. And they get a real sense of, hold on a second, this kid already speaks English. And you see what this Hungarian, this Polish guy is able to do, and I can't, you know, whatever. So right, then you go through that. So they learn a hell of a lot more that way. I wouldn't do it with the kids that aren't as good. But with the kids that are good, I would use those websites quite a lot. So I'd access the stuff in other countries and use that to test them. And it works really, really well. So I'm giving them an exam or a kind of a semi-test. I'll do it with something from Holland. Or Germany. I won't do it with something from Ireland. It'd be too easy. But it depends on the kid, but I tend to use those a lot.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so just to move on to the next section of questions then is just your relationship with the jumpAgrade platform. So overall, how do you feel about jumpAgrade, both as a platform and as a service? You know, just what's your general thoughts on it?
Very positive. I talked to the guys when they set it up at the very beginning, and I met them. We had a couple of pints and we had a good chat about it. And we kind of talked about where it was going to go, and it has gone where we thought it was going to go. But when you set up your own business, I found out here, either the phone never rings or it goes out of control. It gets really, really heavy duty, and I think that's what's happened there. I did really, really well. A lot of people are signing up, and it seems to be quite successful. What I'm hearing of the vibes I'm picking up. No, I'm very positive with the thing. I think it's very good. I've had a great relationship with them. It's all been polite, above board, straight up. All payments have been on time. Everything's really, really good and very professional. It's really nice. The lads are nice. Everybody's good. I get on very well with Susanna. I think that now there's been a big improvement in the sense Susanna has made a massive, it's been a really big help because she is now the link between the students, obviously the teachers rather, and the actual company. So we know, you know, all of the stuff, the feedback going in and all that comes out, it goes through her. She's the hub of the operation, I think. And I have a very, very good relationship with Susanna. And so she is always kind of like, we're in constant contact about things as things happen. So the actual platform is very good. I think the actual relationship is very good. Slack, I never knew about Slack. It seems to be fine. It does the job very, very well. Instant communications. Something comes up, I hear it, I reply, it comes back. So that's all straightforward enough. A lot of this, though, depends on the person on the other end. So you can have all the technology you want. If the person on the other end isn't doing their job, then it's all a load of bollocks. However, she is excellent. So Slack works well for me. So there's no ifs or buts on that one. Now, the other thing we use, of course, is the other platform, which I know you've seen, where you obviously have your portal, where I have my students lined up. I've got my feedback section, my settings section, my work section. That's fine. The names in my feedback section, in my settings section, a lot of them are out of date. The students are well gone, but that's just an aside. It's irrelevant. The two things that matter are the feedback section and the worksheet section. The system itself, I think, works very well. What I do, what would happen is feedback comes in. I'm told I get a student. I say, well, do you want to take the student? I say, yeah, I'll take that student. I get their details. That's fine. Normally what I would do then is I would throw something at them that is relatively easy just to get a sense of where they are. If they handle it easily, then I move up a grade quite quickly. If they're struggling, then you know not to be going on to like the editorial of Le Monde. So, you know, just that's what I would do first. Feedback comes in. Oh, sorry, well, it comes in as feedback, listed as feedback, but it's their return to the assignment, what they've done. Download that. That's quite clear. That's straightforward enough. They photograph it. It's usually a photograph, a JPEG that comes in. That is normally clear. I've never had a situation where I can't read it. So that's really good. I mean, the pixels are quite good and everything's quite clear. I've never actually had a situation 2 years or 3 years almost this stage where I haven't actually been able to read what's come in, which is great. So that's straightforward for me. So what I tend to do is set the laptop up and I will have it up on the screen, put my phone onto the Yoki Bob they gave me, this big little stand, have my whiteboard, and I will give feedback. Normally feedback's around 2 minutes. I will tend to, very often it can be 4 or 5 because I would tend to go over stuff quite thoroughly. Then I save it to Google Drive. Now I've had to put in more memory there. And in the last couple of weeks, it's been slower to upload. I don't know why, but once or twice it's failed. It's never really happened before. Then I do it again. It's okay. So that could be a bit of an issue see down the road, but that's probably my systems here. I imagine it's something to do with the Google, maybe I have to reinstall it or something. But yeah, so it goes to Google Drive. I then save it. So I copy the link, and I have a template on Word, which is for feedback. And I copy and paste the link onto that, title it with the student's name, feedback, worksheet, and the date. And I will then save that to my browser under that and upload it to feedback to that student. When that's done, then the other toggle comes up for worksheet. I would then go in and create a worksheet. Usually it could be a comprehension, could be grammar, could be something on grammar, could be essay, could be something just to get a sense of where they are and various things. I can't really do listening, which is a problem because I'm not there when they do it, and I don't really know. And I can't do speaking, which is a problem. They will be the only issues. Anyway, so that's fine. And then I just save that again. It's on a template that jumpAgrade have. I copy and paste that onto the template, save it to the name with the date, and upload it to worksheet. That's it, really. It's quite quick and straightforward. It's not, providing it uploads to my Google Drive efficiently enough, which nearly always it does. Then it's quite straightforward. I don't see any major problems with it. My feedbacks tend to be a bit longer than maybe most people's because I'm used to sort of teaching here, so I go into a fair bit of detail. But that's grand. Everyone seems happy with it. Now, we also have a situation where sometimes the kids don't come back. And the last while, they've introduced an idea called placeholders, rather than just lose track of the kid who just drifts off into the wilderness to keep contact. So if they don't, what happens on a Sunday night, Monday morning, is I will still get a feedback section, but there'll be no feed, there'll be nothing on it because they haven't sent anything in. Which is I'll still do a little video about 2 minutes, save it to the drive, and push it in as placeholder feedback, and then give a worksheet, which is normally very simple. Because if they haven't replied to the previous one, they're not exactly going to click into War and Peace on the next one. So you give them a few sentences, something quite simple, and send it back to them to keep them in touch. And that's really the way that works. And it's efficient. It does work very well. I don't have any problems with it. The videos are easily made. They're normally easily uploaded. Copy, paste, click out. It's a matter of minutes, really. It's not a massive chore. The problem is speaking. I can't do oral with the kids. I can't speak to the kids, and I can't do listening with the kids. And that's a huge part of the exam. That's 40% of the exam. That's basically out of the question. Now, I have had one situation where a girl has come up to me from Kilkenny here. So, and I did speaking with her. She wanted to do it here with me, so I did that for a couple of hours. But that was it. So the big problem on this that you don't really get on maths or anything else is actually, because language is interactive. You've got reading and writing, speaking and listening. 2 of those we can't do, which is huge. So I don't know how you get around that under that format. But your oral is massive. Spain Irish is 40%. Sure. If you take the Irish, right, you take 40% for the oral and you take 15% for the listening, neither of which I can do. Basically 55% of the fucking exam that we can't touch. So that's a problem. Now, I don't know how we get around that because I need to have absolute interaction with the student. But in languages, that's a massive hit.
Yes. I know. I totally understand where you're coming from there. You're the first languages teacher that I've actually spoke to, so I'm sure that if I do get another languages teacher, they will have shared the same sentiments. I can't really think of a solution off the top of my head at the moment.
No, it's not easy.
System, but this is the point of me interviewing teachers to try and find out what your concerns are, what your problems are with the system, so that we can maybe try to develop it to solve these issues. So no, that's a very comprehensive answer to that question. I mean, I have about another 8 questions in this section, and you've answered pretty much all of them with that one answer.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
so like, well, there's a few other things. Like, how long have you actually been teaching with jumpAgrade? Just cute.
since they opened. It would have been around no end of 2017, pretty much when they opened. I think it
Okay.
was like yeah, from the start. Like
So you've experienced both the old platform and then when they
yeah,
transition into the new video platform as well.
yeah, I have you. No, it's good. It's very effective. It's worked very well. Yeah, but it had to happen because you're obviously getting the increased volume. I mean, you develop a system, and you develop a system for what you think it's going to be, and then it blows out. It sort of takes off, and then you've got to upgrade the systems clearly. So yeah, this worked very well. So I remember yeah, I was there from the very beginning, and it's excellent. It's worked. It's a great idea, and it's worked very very well. Especially with kids, where the grinds down that. I mean, I imagine in Killarney trying to find like German grinds isn't that easy. It's even not easy in Dublin or even Irish grinds. It's very hard to find. So it's you're in Kenmare. You're not going to get Spanish grinds in Kenmare. It's going to be very very difficult. So if you want to make sure you're getting, you're going to have to be on it. So that's kind of the way it is. It provides that access to the kids in places like that.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so how many students do you actually tutor for? I know it's obviously different now with COVID. So if you could think of all the answers to these questions pre-COVID, that'd be great. But typically, how many students were you tutoring for?
I'll show you now. I'll see if I can show you my old timetable.
Sorry, John, you're not actually sharing your camera with me. It's just the audio.
No. I know. I'm just going to hold you.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
If you can see that.
I can't actually see anything through your camera. Your camera isn't turned on. It's just showing a profile photo.
All right, doesn't matter. I thought it was on. No, it'll be around 80 kids.
Okay.
It'd be 80 or 90 kids. So you're looking at, I would say, it could be up to, like, put it this way. Normally May, this month, this has been obviously a disaster because of COVID. But if you're looking at, okay, you should be able to see me now. Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you now, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to turn the thing on. You're looking at, I would have been maybe 110 students. That'd be like May, because that'd be come up to the Leaving Cert. Normally what happens is, around September, it kind of builds up a little bit, and you'll get maybe 50, 55, 60 students through until Christmas. Once Christmas kicks in, it picks up big time. And then after the mocks, it goes nuts. So the months of usually February, March, April, and May are really, really full on. Now for June, it'll be quieter, and then it'll be very quiet. So normally for June, I mean, you could have a situation where you pull in, you could have a good bit of money, a lot of money coming in April. And then in July, you could pull in 800 euros. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It's very much up and down as you'd expect.
It's like seasonal work to a degree.
Yeah, it's kind of seasonal work. Yeah. It's going to be seasonal, but I mean that it works very, very well. The season is long, so it's quite good. I mean, I look forward to the break because it is heavy duty. But no, and all the lessons are very intense, and the kids don't tend to leave; they tend to like coming. So that sort of thing. And you teach someone like Press Bray as well, you end up getting half the class wants to join the grinds then, So it can be handy as well. But it's so it varies. It'll go from maybe 40 or 50 up to could be nearly 100, maybe over 100, but potentially, if you get a very busy year coming into April and May.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting. But I was actually asking the question in the context of jumpAgrade. How many students on the jumpAgrade?
Oh, sorry.
Platform? No, that's totally fine. That was
five would be my absolute max.
5 would be your absolute max.
I can't take any more than 5 because I just physically wouldn't be able to give them the attention I'd want to give them.
Yes,
because it's full on.
Actually, when you mentioned there about how much that you tutor in your own business, I can't even imagine how I would fit in additional work through jumpAgrade. Is it? I mean, are you? Are you using the 5 through jumpAgrade to kind of supplement a quieter time in the year, or?
Oh no, there wouldn't be the quieter time of the year. Yeah. They'd be the busiest time of the year. Oh no, they'd be there when everybody else is there.
Okay.
No, it's not a no, it's not a big issue because I kind of know the way it works now.
Yes.
The platform's got easier. The templates are there. It's very easy to do. But it's not. I mean, again, you see, when you're looking at jumpAgrade, you'll know quite quickly how good students are. And if I'm teaching Leaving Cert French, if I've got two students that are the same level, I can kind of work with them almost in tandem. I give them the same exercises. The feedback will be virtually the same because the errors will be pretty much the same or whatever. So that would be fine. The thing about it is if you've got somebody who's really good and somebody who's quite bad and quite weak, then I've got to give two different, I've got to work on at two different levels, even though they're both doing Leaving Cert. And that will obviously take a bit more time. So you've got to try and pitch it to the level of the student. There's no point in me, I mean, if I've got a student who's really, really good, I can give them the editorial of Le Monde and ask them to do a précis on it. If I've got a student that's weak, it's going to be like present tenses or something. Because believe it or not, Leaving Cert, but you know yourself, you went through the system. You can do Leaving Cert, for example, Leaving Cert French. The standard is absolutely appalling. It's a joke. I mean, even Cert Irish is a joke. You sort of, kids couldn't book a table in a restaurant after they do the day after they do the Leavings because they haven't roll learned it. So you've got absolute abject failure. So the fact that much of my initial error when I started teaching, I assumed that people doing Leaving Cert higher level were really going to be very fluent and very good and were just like polishing this off. You go and you find they don't know the present tense. I mean, so you've got an abject failure in the system that I've initially found was absolutely jaw-dropping. But, you adjust to that. But some kids are very good, usually girls. Girls tend to be very focused. So they're quite easy to teach because they'll do the stuff and they'll be focused with you and they're enjoyable to teach. You see them learning as you can see the cogs going around in their head. Boys tend to be, I was playing rugby, I was doing this, I forgot, or I got out of bed late and all that shit. So, you know that. But normally, no, it's not a problem. It's fine. But I wouldn't go over 5. It'd be too much. It'd just be boom. How many does most people take? I haven't a clue. What do other teachers take normally?
Typically it's an average. I couldn't put an exact average on it because I don't have the exact data on it. But from what I've been speaking and from what I know from Dave, it's typically anywhere up to 10. There's very few teachers that would have more than 10. There is some teachers that have even up to 30, and they're treated like their full-time job. But no, mostly it's in and around the 5 to 10 kind of area.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are full-time teachers or part-time teachers anyway. You're the first person I spoke to that's not actually in the education system as a teacher. Per se, yeah. Okay, John. I think that pretty much nearly covers all about that section, really. I suppose just on the tech, I just want to just talk about the technical side a little bit more for a minute. What we'll say when you actually go about creating feedback or when you're creating a worksheet, what tools do you actually use when you're creating it on the technical side? So obviously you mentioned that you make them with Microsoft Word, but what tools do you use to take a question from an exam paper or to take a section from the editorial of Le Monde? How do you actually?
I would tend to copy and paste it if I can, and then jig it so it's easy to see and it's bold and what have you on a Word document, which I would then copy and paste onto the Word document template of jumpAgrade because I have that saved as a template. I just photocopy into that. Now, sometimes if I want to take a piece, I have done from French TV. From YouTube, I would copy the link and put the link in and tell them where I want them to go on it, like 10 minutes till 10 till 12 and ask questions on that. I've done that as well. I don't like doing that because sometimes they can't open it and you've got bits and pieces like that there. And so I try not to put too much technology on the actual question in case they can't open it or they have difficulties there and it won't let them do things. So I would tend to use a lot of written stuff and that would come directly from either newspapers, exam papers in Ireland or other countries, or I would just write stuff out myself. If I think somebody's got a problem learning subjunctives or imperfect tense or whatever, I will actually explain that in my own words, and then I might go into something and take it off the internet and use that, but I'll tend to use my own words the way I would do it, and then I would give them sentences with that in it to make sure they understand what it is they're doing. And it would maybe 10 or 12 sentences with the various thing in it. So I've sure that at that section is absolutely nailed, that they know what they're doing. Now, the other obvious is they're going to use Google Translate and stuff like that, which I can't control. All I can mark is what I see in front of me. If they go and use Google Translate to cheat, well, that's fine, but they're going to get shafted in an exam. So, you know, they know that if they're only half a brain, they'll know that. So that's what I would tend to do. So it would tend to be pretty communal garden stuff, because once you start going down, copying, pasting links and stuff, and they can't open them, then you get whinges and you get blah, blah, you couldn't open, what can you do, and all this stuff. So I have done it, and usually it's been okay. But yeah, I would tend to use Microsoft Word, copy and paste off other websites, or write my own stuff in that I think they specifically need. But it wouldn't be space age. It wouldn't be mad high tech, this and that, because it just gets too messy for them. Half of them can't open things, or they're not on broadband, and all this can be a pain.
Okay, great. Okay, John, the next section is just about your main objectives and motivations, kind of when you go about your work within jumpAgrade. So kind of why did you initially sign up to tutor with jumpAgrade, and just follow on from that, how did you actually hear from jumpAgrade?
I found, because I got a call from jumpAgrade back around October 2017. Just asked me if I was thinking of setting this thing up, would I be interested in joining or whatever, because they'd found me online. And I was, you know, the way you're skeptical, you're kind of going, yeah, right. You know, you get phone calls, you're going, yeah. But they kept it. I said, yeah, okay, fair enough. I'd thought about it. I thought, actually, yeah, all right, I'll have a go at this and see what happens. I haven't worked like this before, so it was curious. I was curious to see. It was just an experiment. It wasn't, if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. It was no cost one way or the other. So I thought I'd have a go at it, and I did, and it worked. And the feedback from the students is very positive. And so it just took off from there. I had students that stayed with me. And yeah, no, it was positive. The Slack got set up, and I set up to that, and after that it flowed relatively well. I've always had a very, very good relationship with the lads, with everybody, and it's taken off. I've kept it with 5 students, but no, it started because I had nothing to lose, and I thought it was an interesting idea that could actually work. So the bottle was half full rather than half empty, and it's proved right. Yeah, no, I've been positive with it. So yeah, it's good. That's how I heard about it. They contacted me because they saw my profile, and yeah, it's been onwards and upwards ever since.
Okay. The next 3 questions are pretty much the same, but I'll just make one question out of them. Kind of, what is your main objective when you're tutoring for a student, and then when you're creating feedback, and then when you're creating a worksheet? What is your main objective week in, week out with these students?
Clarity. Absolute clarity. If you're going into an exam or you're doing something, you have to have that knowledge crystallized. You cannot be going into an Irish exam and going, is that go well, or is that with the well? You must absolutely know. So everything I do is absolute crystal clear clarity. If there's something that you need to know, you need to absolutely know it, not half know it. So get rid of cloudiness so that you absolutely know why something is the case. That has always been the way I've worked, and that has always been very, very effective. So when you put pen to paper, you know exactly that you're right. And that level of clarity in any areas of grammar, any areas of, if I'm asking you, I'm giving you a comprehension to look at, what is your thought process? What does your mind do when you open that page? When you read that question, where is your eye going? What thought process is going on in your head? And what boxes do you tick, and what order do you tick them in? That's it. It's absolutely based on total logic, total reason, total clarity. No rote learning, none of that bollocks. You need to know what you're doing, and that's it. So it's absolute clarity. So they know in depth what their next thought should be in all situations.
Okay, and if you get a feeling from when a student submits their work that there is a lack of clarity in the way they go about their work, how do you try and teach that and reinforce it going forward?
I'll go over that in the feedback. I'll go over that in the feedback slowly and give an example each time, and then I'll give them another set on the same thing. So it's absolutely nailed. I won't just give up and go on to the next thing, because if you're building, it's like a Jenga tower. If you're going to build it and the stuff's wrong at the bottom, it's going to fall over. So, you know, you've got to have your foundations.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds very understandable. And do you find that you're constantly reiterating points about clarity week in, week out with some students?
Depends on the kid. Some kids are stupid and some kids are clever. Not a point on it. Some kids can take it in, some kids can't. Some kids are brilliant at maths and some kids can't do this. So it's kind of horses for courses, really. No, not really. Most of the time, no, not really. I mean, if I give 10 sentences the second time out, 9 of them will tend to be right, and the other one will be an oversight. So then I know that's good. Remember that, go over it, nail it, and move on. And the next thing, and then you've gone through all of the grammar. Then I would go over, I'd spend a while going over all the stuff I've done for the previous few weeks to make sure that is absolutely nailed. So if that's produced in an exam, there will be no errors. Their minds will be crystal clear on every single thing you do.
Okay.
That's the good. But with the other issue, of course, is you can't speak to them. I'd much rather they were here so I can actually talk to them. And that would be far more effective. But obviously you can't do that if you're sort of in Clifton or somewhere. So.
Yeah, fair enough. John, what is kind of the main reason that you've continued working with jumpAgrade until now? You know, why have you stuck with it?
Because I enjoy teaching kids. I get on well with the platforms, work very well. There's never been any problem with, say, for example, payment. The atmosphere is very positive. I like it. I like the lads. I like the setup, and I like the kids. And you know, if I can help kids and if I can give them a positive leg up, then I'll do that. You know, it doesn't. You know, I'm teaching because I want to teach. You see, the thing in my background is different because I was in the financial markets. I'm doing this because I like it. I'm not doing it because it's a career that I went into and ended up being fucking stuck in, treading water. I actually do enjoy teaching kids. Yes. And you teach. And because my background is not teaching, I didn't go through teacher training college. I didn't go through any of that. My background was financial markets. You're dealing millions every day on the phone, you know, roaring and screaming, Wolf of Wall Street type of shit. So when you're in that market, you're doing that, you bring that with you. And that's the way I teach. I teach the way I dealt, basically, okay. Which is completely different to the way anybody else, and it's clarity. I mean, if you're borrowing $6 months or you're doing stuff at Anglo back in the old days, you can't make a mistake. You've got to be shit clear on what you're doing. And that's the way I teach languages.
Okay. And if you were to recommend to someone who is a teacher or to someone that could be a tutor on the jumpAgrade platform, what is the unique selling point? What would you tell them this is why you need to join jumpAgrade?
I think there's the money side of things, but it's another way of teaching. It's something they can do outside the classroom. It's a variation of the theme of what they do. I'd only say that to a teacher who was a good teacher, a teacher who wanted to teach, not basically a freeloader. And you've got both types. If you've got a teacher who wants to teach, who thinks about it like I think about it, then yeah, I would say, look, you know, this gives you another angle. That's a few quid extra, but you're helping kids that might have access to grinds, and you're good at what you do. So do it because you're good at it. You can make a few bob, but you're helping kids who might not otherwise get it. And a good teacher who wants to teach will do that. A lazy bastard won't. And that's basically the way that is. So no, if he's a good teacher, then he'll do it because he's a good teacher, and it's a chance to help other kids, make a few bob. And it's a variation on a thing. It's also something, I suppose, that you could build on. If things went bad in your life or you had to give up teaching, you had to give up whatever you were doing, you could take on more students and increase your income. So it gives you leeway that side as well. So there's a financial side of it, and it's an iron in the fire. But it's also, it allows you to do your job if you enjoy doing it. And you shouldn't be doing a job if you don't enjoy doing it. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, John, just the last section of questions then is the pain points. So what do you dislike about jumpAgrade?
Nothing. I mean, I like everything about it. There's nothing. I mean, I'd be struggling to find something negative. Susanna's great. Slack's worked. The system works. The kids, no. I can't really think of anything negative, to be honest with you. It's a very well set up company, does a job very, very well, very professionally. And it's doing well because it's doing that. So I can't really think of anything that's negative. I like it. I like the lads. I like Susanna. I like the platform. There's nothing I really want to whinge about. There's nothing really there that I could be negative about, I think.
Okay, fair enough. But is there anything that, even going down to the very minute bear bug type things on the platform, is there something in it that, have you ever experienced something sometime where it's done something you didn't expect it to do, or where you couldn't complete a task for some reason? Is there anything with it that, even the small minute details on the system or anything?
Not on their system. On my, I hear, sometimes the problems uploading to Google Drive. I'm just wondering, there might be a way of getting the recording or the video directly to the platform without having to go through Google Drive.
Okay.
That might be handy if I could but then if I do that, I'm still going to have some sort of written, it's going to have to go on something. So no, I mean, that would ideally be, I could just stretch my phone straight on to the platform from my phone. So if I could say, save, the way you do a video and it gives you options to save to various things, I can save it to Slack. But that's not going to help Susanna. She's got loads of videos in that aren't going to matter. I don't know if I could save it directly to the jumpAgrade platform, but then I don't have a written record of it. So yeah, I mean, ideally that'd be great, but I don't have a record. I don't have a written record of it that I can go back to. So probably that wouldn't work anyway. So yeah, that'd be ideal if there was some way of making sure that we knew it was a certain person and they had something to send on to them, like or something they could open or whatever. But no, I mean, that'd be great if you could do that. Just go straight to jumpAgrade and straight from my phone onto the platform rather than going through Google Drive. That might be handy. It's not a major thing, but that if there's a way of jumping over that while still maintaining, if you like, well, there's a Word document that needs to be added to. So I don't know how we get around that, but that might be something down the road. It might, if we could go directly from our phones directly to just upload directly from the phone to the platform, to the portal, would be great. But no, that's not really, it doesn't keep you awake at night. It just takes an extra probably 2 minutes or a minute. That's all. So that's not a massive issue. I think the biggest issue probably from a language perspective is the oral. That's massive. Because that's the oral and listening is half the exam. It's half the whole thing. It's the most important bits of language. Without that, you can't communicate. So, that is, I think, probably the biggest thing. But that's not easily got over. But no, platform-wise, uploading-wise, the platform is excellent. It's very simple, very straightforward. Slack is very simple, very straightforward. Yeah, that'd be it. I mean, if you could bypass Google Drive, it might be nice. But other than that, that's not a major issue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you've reiterated that point about the oral and the listening and talking aspect. That's the third or fourth time you've reiterated it. So it's definitely a key issue with languages teaching with the system.
It's everything.
So that's great. I mean, that actually pretty much kind of covers the last few questions. Yeah. So John, I just want to thank you for your time. Your insights are very actionable, and I still have a couple more teachers to interview, and then I will be going through all of this with the team back at jumpAgrade to try and see what we can do to improve it going forward. All right.
Great stuff. Listen, Darren, you have a good weekend. Take care. Enjoy the sun.
You too. Bye now.
God bless. Ciao, ciao.